How's that? Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to join us this afternoon. Hopefully we can provide some information that you can disseminate to the general public. I'm going to provide you some updates on Nevada's response to COVID-19. First, I want to direct all those who are watching to the Nevada Health Response website. That is nvhealthresponse.nv.gov. nvhealthresponse.nv.gov, where a copy of Nevada Health Response Daily Situation Report is located. I will be referencing some of the data points in there. The data will also be highlighted on the screen with me, but the most robust information is in the Daily Situation Report. Again, nvhealthresponse.nv.gov. I'd like to talk about Nevada's person protective equipment, also called PPE. So far, we have distributed 1.9 million pieces of PPE. Nevada Hospital Association tells me we are in a yellow zone. That means our hospitals and healthcare professionals are getting the PPE they need to do their job, but it also means we must continue to work to acquire more PPE. We want to be in the green zone. Again, we have distributed to date 1.9 million pieces of PPE. At this time, I want to let you know how the state is handling the logistics of distributing that much PPE. The state is helping acquiring the PPE either through the state DEM purchasing, shipments from the national stockpile, or donations. The PPE is dispersed through the state regional distribution formula. This formula is based on requests from the county to the State Emergency Operations Center. Next, it goes out to your local health district of your county, and they are tasked with distributing it to those who have requested it in the community so that it gets in the hands of those who are working hard to battle the COVID-19 virus. The folks on the front line, eventually that's where it ends up. Next, I want to talk to you about fatalities and reporting fatalities in Nevada. As you can see, we have lost 130 Nevadans to this virus. I want to take a moment to talk about reporting data here. It is critical that our death data reflect the actual date of death. I know some of you have pointed that out in the various publications and whatnot. This data is used to help create our modeling and to help our medical advisory team provide recommendations for the future handling of the COVID-19 virus in Nevada. That's why our Department of Health and Human Services Office of Analytics, in partnership with the local agencies who report to us, have worked overtime to make sure that this death information is accurately reported. This is one of many ways we're working to better inform our medical experts and the public. Finally, one of the best ways to make sure fewer Nevadans die from this virus is to make sure we do not overwhelm our healthcare system. As you can see from the chart that's in front of you, today we have 340 confirmed COVID-19 patients in hospitals statewide. 59% of our beds are occupied statewide. 10% of those beds are occupied by COVID-19 patients. In the middle, 69% of our ICU beds statewide are currently occupied. 1/3 of those are occupied, those ICU beds are occupied by COVID-19 patients. And 37% of the ventilators that we have in Nevada are currently in use statewide. 39% of that 37% is in use for COVID-19 patients. Our medical experts tell me that we should be reassured by these numbers that we're doing a great job of protecting our healthcare system so that the medical professionals has the best shot of treating patients that walk in the door. It shows us that staying home for Nevada works. And make sure you stay healthy. If we keep these numbers where they're at, we can help to beat this virus together. Before I move on, I want to touch on a few other pieces of news in the last few days. As always, Nevadans can visit the Nevada Health Response website to stay up to date, and I encourage them to do that. On that website, you can subscribe for updates, and you'll get copies of our daily situation reports. Also, please consider your local news media as good sources of information. And I'm going to repeat a statement that I made at one of my conferences in Southern Nevada. I know some elected officials have decided to berate the media for their handling of this situation. I want to say thank you to all of our media partners. You are doing an incredible public service in disseminating this information so that the general public can hear it and hear it in an accurate way. For those of you who are watching or following us on YouTube or going to read about this later, if you're not currently subscribing to your local paper or donating to one of the local papers online, please consider doing so. It's the only way we can accurately impact this message and they can get it out to you. I appreciate they're taking the time to be here today so you are getting accurate information. And in the environment that we're in, if you support them, it'll help all of us. So please consider doing that if you can afford it. The Nevada National Guard. We have received additional federal funding to activate members of the Nevada National Guard. This funding allows us to bring on more Nevadans to help us by providing, 1, medical support, food bank and warehouse logistics, supply transportation, and alternate care facility setup. Over the weekend, we received additional federal funding to activate more members of our Nevada National Guard. This funding allows us to bring on more of our fellow Nevadans to help provide logistics and management support. These men and women are essential to helping us direct resources to places they need them the most. In the coming days, we'll be discussing more of the missions that the Guard will undertake to help us do this work. I had the opportunity to visit some of these men and women this week and thank them for their service to our state. They are our brothers, our sisters, our mothers and fathers, our friends, and our coworkers, and we should all be grateful for their service. Now, and I also want to mention that they are going above and beyond with helping us with some of our tribal communities in terms of delivering both PPE and food products to get the tribes that are a little more remote and can't get access to those. Now I'm going to talk about something that is on the mind of a lot of our Nevadans, unemployment insurance. I want to change gears and address a topic that's been on a lot of Nevadans' mind, and that's filing for unemployment benefits. I can assure you it's on their mind because we get a number of phone calls on a regular basis and emails relating to the unemployment insurance topic. And I hope that we're going to be able to explain it simply for people to understand today. This unprecedented pandemic has been devastating for so many of our families. My office has heard from many Nevadans who have lost their livelihoods and are experiencing issues in filing for their unemployment benefits. To understand the full scope of what our state is experiencing, I want to share some context. More than 300,000 of our fellow Nevadans have applied for unemployment benefits over the last 30 days. I want to make sure everybody understands that. So it's 300,000 Nevadans in 30 days. That's 10,000 people per day for those 30 days have applied for unemployment benefits. That is also 1 in every 10 Nevadans have filed for unemployment insurance compensation. In the weeks between March 14th and April 4th, Nevada saw the 3 highest number of initial weekly unemployment insurance claims on record for our state. The top 3 totals for a week have been the last 3 weeks. In the week ending on April 4th, over 79,000 Nevadans filed initial unemployment insurance claims. That is nearly 9 times as many weekly claims as the highest week in the Great Recession, which was 8,900 in January of 2009. In all of 2009, over 329,000 Nevadans filed initial unemployment claims. We're already approaching that number for 2020, and it is only April 14th. We've already surpassed the total number of weekly initial claims filed in every other year during the Great Recession. In 2008, there were 250,000 claims. In 2010, there were 260,000 claims. I say to all this to demonstrate the magnitude of what we're facing right now, and we are not alone in this situation. All across the country, states are facing record-breaking job losses and unemployment claims. Nevada joins the ranks of Hawaii, Michigan, Georgia, Kentucky, and Rhode Island for the highest claims per 1,000 workers. I know it has not been easy, and I want to let you all know, and all of your viewers and readers, that I am listening to your concerns. I hear you. My office has been fielding calls and emails from Nevadans across the state, and they bring me these messages every night. I've read them, I hear them, I sympathize, and we're doing something about it. I want to share some of the examples of what Nevadans who have reached out to us have said. Many have said they can't get through the phones, even after calling all day long. Others have expressed frustration with password resets. Folks have told my office that the website is too slow to file. These are real concerns, and I hear them. I know this is hard. I get your frustration. I remember when my dad was laid off, and what it meant to our family. Every night I think about this in the situation that our fellow Nevadans are facing. We've brought in experts to look at our system, and the analysis show what we expected to be true. The system was never set up to handle this volume of calls and claims. If I could wave a wand tomorrow and start from scratch, I would do it and start all over and build a system that could handle this kind of volume. That is not possible, and it's not practical. Unfortunately, the analysis also showed that a complete overhaul of it this time would prohibit Nevadans from filing for an extended period of time while it is set up, and probably do more harm than good. The reality is this: during the good times, no one can ever imagine it being bad again, certainly not as bad as this. As a result, attempts to upgrade the unemployment insurance system or increase staffing or even maintain staffing levels were not approved in past legislative sessions. I want to emphasize that. We saw that there was a need for expanding and updating the system and the staffing in unemployment, and it did not get through the legislature. We inherited the system as it exists. We're expanding the system as it exists and doing the best we can to deal with the Nevadans who are having to try to access it this way. I'm not casting blame. I just want to point out that unemployment data has shown that this was needed to be upgraded, and it never got legislative support. But it doesn't help anyone to solely look into the past. I've been committed to trying to find solutions right now to make up for a previously unimaginable surge in claims in a division that never got the support it deserved or needed. Luckily, we have some updates and good news to share with Nevadans tonight. For those Nevadans who have been unable to file a claim due to the unprecedented volume, you need to understand you will not lose any benefits as a result of the overwhelming surge in demand. That's because today I instructed Dieter to backdate all unemployment claims to earliest date of eligibility back to March 15th of 2020. Whenever your application was submitted, you will be paid retroactively, and there's no more action you need to take for this to go through if you have already filed your initial claim. For individuals filing unemployment, this is great news and will provide Nevadans out of work more money in their pockets to pay their bills and start the road to recovery. Again, we've instructed Dieter to backdate all unemployment claims to the earliest date of eligibility back to March 15th of 2020. Volume continues to impact the system, but benefit payments will not be reduced because of application issues. Finally, I want to give some important updates as it relates to the CARES Act. I'm proud to announce that Nevada is among the early states in the country that will be dispersing the additional $600 to everyone who is currently receiving unemployment benefits. These payments will be backdated as well. Some of you may begin to see this payment as early as tomorrow, and staggered payments will continue to go out throughout the week. Believe me, we are working around the clock, 7 days a week, to solve these problems and provide assistance to those Nevadans that need these programs right now. In addition to the overview I've just provided, I know many of you probably still have more questions. So I've invited Kimberly Goff from Dieter to join me today to answer several questions that both of our offices have received. Given that she is the subject matter expert, she can provide in-depth answers to these questions so that everyone can stay informed with the facts learned more about the entire process and know what your options are. Thank you for joining me, Kimberly.
Thank you, Governor.
Go ahead. I think I had, and I don't have in my folder, no, go ahead. You give your background, then I've got some questions to answer at the end.
Okay. So the CARES Act was passed by Congress on March 26th, and we signed a documentation to receive funding for that CARES Act. The chart you're seeing right now is an explanation of how benefits flow through the system, and this information is also on our website, which is at the bottom of the charting. But essentially, there's three components to the CARES Act that are outside the standard unemployment system. The main one that a lot of people are asking about right now is pandemic unemployment assistance, and that system is going to be stood up in a separate system altogether, and that is for 1099 workers, gig workers, those that are not otherwise covered with unemployment assistance. The other components are the extension of benefits for an additional 13 weeks through federal funding, and also, as the governor mentioned, the additional $600 per week through the end of July. Thank you. While we know things are very frustrating for people, we want to go over a few things that have been done to ease the unprecedented volume that we're seeing. DETR has tripled its staff in a matter of 4 weeks. We've increased from about 70 employees that handle the claim volume to over 200, and we continue to add staff. Many of these staff are working very extended hours. The call centers are open for a 13-hour period every day, and then staff are working beyond those hours to get these claims processed. But we know this is not enough to meet the demand. So the state has hired a vendor that will provide an additional 100 full-time operators. We expect this call center to be stood up and running sometime later this week, and we're working toward getting that up and running. We've waived the work search requirement. So for those who don't know what that means is, since the businesses are essentially closed, we're not requiring people to go out and seek work with a new business. The 7-day waiting period that traditionally would have occurred at the beginning of the filing, we have waived that process as well. For those who are self-employed and gig workers, we also know that you are hurting as well. We're doing our very best to fast track the system necessary to provide a way for everybody to apply. The state has identified a vendor, and we're hoping to get that module set up very soon. We're looking maybe mid-May, early May right now. Additionally, we want to draw attention to the filing process. Traditionally, under unemployment, most people would file their weekly claim on Sunday as soon as the week opens up for filing. And what we are seeing from the impact to the system, that really puts a toll on the system. And so we're asking people to follow the guideline that we've made here in this slide, to file based on your last name on a set day. So if your name starts A through K, you would file on Sunday. L through R, you would file on Monday. S through Z, you would file on Tuesday, and then anybody could apply on the other days. We're hoping that that would alleviate some of the perception that they can't access the system, and maybe stagger that out so people have a better opportunity to get in quickly and get out and get their weekly claim filed. So we're hoping that provides some alleviation to access.
Thank you, Kimberly. I appreciate that. And if we could again, and this is why it's so important to support our media outlets, if you could disseminate that information, those letters on those days, it'll help people access the system and get through quicker, which is going to help all of us. That was extremely helpful, but before we move on, I asked my staff to give me a couple, 2, 3 of the most common questions we're getting in our office, and ask for Kimberly to walk us through and explain it to us. So I've got 3 here, I believe, no, 4. Can you walk through exactly how it works and what happens from the moment you pick up the phone to make a claim to when you get your money? In detail so people know what happens.
So the life cycle of a claim starts with the initial filing of a claim, whether you do it online or over the phone. We register you in the system. We issue you a bank debit card to provide benefits on. Your claim goes through a process to determine if you have a separation issue. Did you get fired? Were you laid off? What the circumstances were. We also look at, did your employer provide taxes to the unemployment system to have you draw your insurance on? So we determine, are you monetarily eligible? And then do you have an issue that would otherwise make you eligible or ineligible? So those two are the 2 first components. Once those decisions are made, then a claimant would receive information traditionally through the mail. We are posting that information on their account online so they can log into their account online and see that detail in real time. We're hoping that the ability to do that will also provide information as quickly as possible to the constituency. Then once that determination happens, 2 things happen. You're either determined eligible or ineligible. If you're determined eligible, then the next step would be we would be posting your initial filing dollars on that bank card that was issued to you. If you're determined ineligible, then you may receive additional communication saying, oh, you have an issue on your claim, we need to do some follow-up, we need to maybe talk to your employer, or maybe we need to talk to you to determine what the discrepancy is, and then we would communicate that and we will call. We'll call the employer, we'll call the claimant and say, tell us about that issue, can we resolve it? And then we would issue a determination. And at that point, if you're found eligible, again, the payment would go out to the card. If you're found ineligible, we would send you a determination indicating that, and then you would also have appeal rights. The next step would be you want to continue filing your weekly claim for every week that you're eligible for benefits. Even if you've been determined ineligible for a reason, we want you to continue filing because we know with pandemic unemployment assistance and other delays with mail and everything else that's going on that there may be a circumstance change that comes up. So we want to encourage everybody to continue filing. Even if you haven't heard from us, please continue filing your claim, weekly claim. And then at the end, hopefully you'll see every week as you file your weekly claim, your benefit amount will just appear on that debit card that's been issued. And as of this week, people will start seeing that additional federal pandemic unemployment compensation, or that $600, and that will start appearing this week, and we will be catching everybody up back to March 29th. So that's the life cycle.
Yuri, I appreciate that you explained it to me earlier and brought it down so I could understand it, and I appreciate you explaining it to everybody here. Of the Nevadans who have filed claims, what percentage are successfully filing online?
We're ranging about 95% of people filing online right now.
So of the 300,000 claimants, about 15,000 have had these ongoing problems, these different issues.
We have 15,000 that are calling in on the phone lines.
Right, okay. How much has been paid out in unemployment insurance to Nevadans during this crisis thus far?
We're approaching $200 million since the inception of the pandemic. So since March 15th, we're approaching 200 million.
Okay, and lastly, if you receive a card, that debit card in the mail, does it automatically already have money on it?
No, the first process in unemployment is to register with our office, and the registration process is what kicks off the card. You'll receive that from Bank of America, and that is who is our contracted vendor. And once the determination is made on your claim, that's when money is placed on the card.
On your card, okay.
Right.
Great, and you're all gonna have an opportunity to ask your questions as soon as we finish up with just a few more comments. Again, I understand this is an uncertain time for many Nevadans, but with people like Kimberly and her team working so hard and so diligently every day to help, I know we will get through this. I know we will get through this, and they genuinely care about every one of these phone calls that they're getting and that they're taking, and people that have problems. So if you bear with us as best you can, we will get through it with everyone. We will be as transparent and consistent in our approach to make fact-based decisions to help every Nevadan stay safe and as well protected, both from a health and financial aspect as we possibly can. Finally, I would like to announce today's Nevada Hero of the Day. Desiree Irons works as a training supervisor for the Clark County School District Food Services. Recently, Desiree put together food bags for children in need. Desiree said, "We've seen a great deal of gratitude from the families and children. They are so thankful for the meals we give them, seeing the kids and how much they appreciate what we're doing. That's what keeps us going." Desiree represents one of many stories highlighting how our educators are going above and beyond during this pandemic. I want to highlight Monday's hero, Christian Gore, a nurse at UMC. She has 2 children at home, but that's not keeping her from caring for her fellow Nevadans. Heroes will be featured in the Daily Situation Report and on social media. Email nevadahero@gmail.com to nominate a hero in your life. Again, that's nevadahero@gmail.com to nominate a hero, and we're going to feature them all on social media. We have the regular sites, and I have sites both on Twitter and Facebook. If you go on there, you can click on, I guess, and you can see who the hero of the day or week is, and we can disseminate more of this information. And before we get to the questions, I want to thank again all of the Nevadans that continue to stay home for Nevada. We are stronger together, and your commitment to protecting you and your neighbors is unparalleled. It's truly been invigorating to watch. Good night and stay safe out there.